Hello everyone, thanks for visiting the Wasabi Aquarium channel. In today's topic, we'll be focused on how to properly clean aquarium/cosmetic sand. Nowadays, it is very popular to have a layout with cosmetic sand. This is also the case with this aquarium, from the foreground to the background. It's equally as popular as soil these days. Well, they are both well used in aquariums these days. That sort of layout design is very popular. This was pretty evident in the ILPLC 2019 rankings. So I've seen an increase in popularity every year in these type of competition entries, even in the top ranked aquarium layouts. Over 380 entries had sand in the layouts that I saw anyway. They all use different sand amounts, of course. Around 80% of the entries use cosmetic sand in the layouts. I think this will continue to trend in the aquarium hobby. There are a few things you need to know about it. I would like to explain in detail on how cosmetic sand should be cleaned. As this is about cleaning sand, this aquarium here has a decent layer of cosmetic sand all around, making it a perfect subject. I think this aquarium here is the perfect example for the purposes of today's video, yes? Situations include both soil and cosmetic sand, and seeing them mixed together, but unsure how to deal with it. Or settlement on sand, such as fish waste and organic matter. It certainly doesn't look good, that's for sure, and even worse, algae may have changed the cosmetic sand's vibrant colour to this weird green appearance. If you don't know how to deal with these sort of situations, then this video will definitely be very useful for you. Trust me, I've gained a lot of experience with these sort of problems in the aquariums kept here over the years, particularly with layouts that have a clear sand and soil partition. I've built many aquariums over the years and dealt with all sorts of miscellaneous issues and problems. I am familiar with all the methods and sharing these successful methods in this video, so please watch the video to the end. Alright, I like to assess the current state before commencing maintenance. As you can see, there's a bit of soil on the surface. This makes the sand less visible as the soil collects on the surface over time, mainly due to the livestock in this tank. There's also some organic matter mixed here as well, so I'll start in this area first, I suppose. Okay, with the assessment done, I'm going to proceed with the maintenance. I'll be using this pink aquarium hose to start a siphon, so let's put one end into the aquarium now. The other end of this hose is in a good sized bucket. Gently swish your hose around. It's a bit difficult as I'm right-handed. Okay, away we go. There's some fish waste and organic matter here. Since it's lightweight, you can gently swish the hose a bit to allow it to suspend and flow towards the gravity of the siphon. You'll get the hang of it after a few tries of siphoning. As you can see, it's almost impossible just to siphon out soil and organic matter, even if I'm far off the sand. Therefore, cosmetic sand is best thought to be a consumable item in your layout. The amount of cosmetic sand that you place in your aquarium layout will ultimately and slowly decrease over time. As you can see right now, there's quite a lot of sand being siphoned out. I will explain this a bit further later on in the video, but you essentially need both a bit of soil and sand handy for future top-ups when needed. This is a well-exposed area and a highly visible one from the front of the aquarium, so it's acceptable to replenish what we take out. In terms of the weight per sand granule, it's quite light. Again, I'm working with my left hand, which isn't my dominant, so siphoning is less controlled than I'd like it to be. But that's not going to stop me from doing maintenance here, so let's carry on, shall we? Swish your fingers around to allow suspension. Doing so will allow the settled stuff to be suspended, thus allowing it to be siphoned out. It's really that easy. This technique works particularly well if you have other things such as moss trimmings and other material that don't seem to stay afloat. Sometimes I do question myself on what other possible methods are available to prevent sand and soil from mixing. In regards to the sand siphoned out, it's best not to reuse it, because if you put it back in, then you risk reintroducing the organic matter taken out back into the aquarium. Therefore, please consider cosmetic sand as a consumable item in your layout. Siphoning out a thin layer of cosmetic sand and replenishing what was taken out isn't so bad as it sounds. However, if the sand is sort of green, then you'll need to siphon out a bit more than usual. It's best to remove discolored cosmetic sand, as it may cause other algae related problems. So much better right now. As you can see, a bit of siphoning here and there fixed the issue. It's best to have the sand layers cleaned at the same time that you do a water change. Like all things on Earth, gravity still applies inside the aquarium, so it makes sense to siphon out organic matter from the bottom, rather than just siphoning out water from the top. As you can see, the degree of mold and organic matter is quite high. All you need to do later is to top up the water as you normally would when doing a water change only. So siphoning water along with the organic waste from the bottom will be discharged from the aquarium very efficiently. I think this method is very good because it can be done by anyone with just an aquarium hose and a bucket. A very good method indeed, almost foolproof to be honest. I use ADA La Plata sand, so I'll be topping up with the same sand. It's time to replenish the sand. Keep in mind that if your sand levels remain the same, then you can simply skip this step, as the sand levels don't need to be rebalanced. In this example, you can see we'll need to level out the layout with new sand to the right hand side of the aquarium. Let's begin adding new sand to the area to balance it out. I introduced the substrate dispenser many times in my other videos. The substrate dispenser has gained quite a bit in terms of popularity since its introduction. It's caught me off guard quite a bit. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a pretty good looking stainless steel soil dispenser. Please remember to check out the description after this video. Adding sand in a water-filled aquarium can be quite tricky. You can see the sand granules working its way down. It's much easier to add sand when the water level is much lower towards the substrate. Hey, I always aim the dispenser as close as possible. This minimizes sand suspension and landing on random places in the layout. I personally think it's better to add sand in increments, a bit at a time, so you won't end up with an overly thick layer as originally intended. Alright, I think the amount of cosmetic sand I just added should be enough. I've heard over time that there are some people who find it troublesome to level out the sand on maintenance. For this aquarium, it's okay to have a thick layer, but then again, it all depends on your design, as some may be very thin. There are a wide range of layouts that feature thin layers of cosmetic sand. Very beautiful at a glance, and very easy to maintain. Alright, I've finished topping up the cosmetic sand. It's currently very unorganized, scattered and bumpy here and there right now. To balance out the cosmetic sand layer, I'm going to use a substrate spatula to even out the La Plata sand. It might be a bit troublesome to level out the sand layer with just one pass here, so please take your time. A tip here is to flip the spatula over to the larger spade, and then you can easily level out the sand. An important takeaway here is to ensure that the boundary retaining the soil is well enforced. This means less soil will leak, making cosmetic sand easier to maintain. Having said that, however, this stone here is a very good boundary despite leaking a bit. Since the soil in this area has already leaked out, I think it should be fine going forward. If you don't rake the sand into a slope towards the stones, and if you have a thin layer only, then it will be very difficult to prevent soil from leaking. In short, it's pretty much like an embankment. If you make a slight slope with sand, the sand will play a role in stopping that from happening. It's a very effective approach in preventing soil leakages. Please keep this in mind. You should be able to handle that very well. The aim at this stage is to make the sand against the glass completely uniform for the purposes of aesthetics. If you've ever been to or have seen the tanks at ADA's official gallery, you will find it easy to understand. I think the sand line is pretty uniform horizontally now. What do you think? These details are very important, so in such a case, it's essential that you have a tool like the substrate spatula handy. It makes life so much easier. Alright, it's finished. I've successfully cleaned and restored the sand back to its beautiful state. With some basic tools and a bit of patience, the aquarium layout can be properly maintained even by a beginner. I think your aquarium will look great if you do this at the same time as your water changes. Make this part of your weekly maintenance schedules today. Doing so will definitely brighten your layout. Having organic matter on vivid cosmetic sand, such as fish waste and soil leakages, will definitely dull your aquascape and overall aesthetics. It will make you uncomfortable as well as your tank observers, so why not clean as you go? I hope you can adapt your weekly maintenance with these methods discussed in this video. The key here is to keep the cosmetic sand as clean as possible. And it's very important that you carry out the sand cleaning methods correctly and consistently. Take note that a well-planned barrier with hardscape at the time of building your aquarium will prevent and minimize soil leakages. I hope you put this in consideration for future builds, as this is very important in terms of maintenance. By doing so, you minimize problems and frustrations, so you'll be able to enjoy your aquarium's beauty much longer. However, it's worth mentioning that sometimes a bit of soil leakage can't be helped. There are some things that we can prevent, some things that we can minimize, and there are some that we just have to deal with. You are probably thinking at this stage, if you level out everything in your aquarium, there should be no gaps for anything to leak out, right? I released a mini-series in constructing this 180cm aquarium. I detailed and explained a lot of these points using cosmetic sand and soil. Please take a look at those videos as well. I've put a link to those videos in the description below. I think it will help you understand boundaries a lot further. To support me, remember to like, share and subscribe to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. I'll be so happy if you take a few seconds to do so. Well, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time and bye for now.